line with that.
Yeah.
And we had like all those photos.
What's up, gents?
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Good,
Good, how are you?
Good. Super.
Hello.
Wow, it's nice in here. God, don't freeze us out.
Please, Dave, turn it up before he gets in here.
It's nice.
Is this new carpeting?
Look at it when he comes in.
No,
Did we
no, they
always
just
have-
cleaned it.
Oh,
Well, no, it's been put in new.
yeah.
It's been a while. We're live, just so.
Okay, boy. That's good or bad?
The air conditioner's not on, so it's not gonna be cold.
Good.
Good.
Oh, geez.
Hey, 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 hey.
Oh, that was you. Yeah.
You must have got moved to the big table.
Yeah. You know what? I put two and two together. We had to look back because I never.
Wait, we don't have a big table in here anymore,
I
right?
started putting two and two
Well,
together.
we have, missing 2 department heads tonight, Manny.
No, I'm just saying, the big table that used to be in here is in the other room now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Where, what other room?
the conference room.
conference room, where we just were. That
Oh, the
table used to
big-
be,
Oh, yeah,
used
that's
to be
right,
in
correct.
here.
Used to be in here,
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
it was,
Yes.
when, the mayor.
Yeah, well, somebody's gonna move it back,
Yeah.
just to cause trouble. First night,
No,
Jim
I'm
comes,
putting the heater in.
put it under the table heater. We still got the panic button under there?
Not here, I don't think.
There's a panic button.
Here?
Yeah, there's one.
There
Where
is,
it, Jim?
there is. You don't need to announce it on the. Just check something.
The hardwired ones were all disconnected.
I forgot the last like 3 times. So, like, yeah, no, that's perfect.
Is this it?
Oh,
I'm trying to.
is yours short this time?
I think this is it.
I know.
But it's, it's
But I don't know if
disconnected.
this is like.
I think we have,
Oh,
next to our
man.
desks, we have, it's wireless ones.
Hmm.
I don't
We
think this
disconnected
works.
the wired,
I always feel like
hardwired
I'm sitting
ones.
down
So
low.
I'm assuming that's disconnected, I don't know.
Hi, Doris.
How are you?
It's not doing anything. It's not. I feel like I'm in a kid's chair. I feel like I'm in kindergarten.
What do they,
Welcome to my
they
world.
circle up though, if you
I
want?
think they do, yeah, because there's no mechanism. His chair is higher than mine.
Yeah, and getting whatever that.
We were supposed to get cushions, but we didn't put it in the budget, I guess.
I actually stayed home for a few days.
Like the other chairs have cushions. You made it.
Remember with your hip?
Oh, because
No need.
Me?
Oh, yeah, oh, I needed that. Keep you out of that. I still have it. Still have it.
Yes, yes, the amount. Yeah. Yeah, 999.
Is that one of the,
You don't have to mention it.
Yeah.
Correct.
got it, okay.
I just want to make sure you, because interestingly what happened is, we did use the town's law, and the town used it.
Yeah. Well, now they know because you're live on TV.
Which one of the exemptions was that, Joe? The disability,
Yeah.
Yeah.
got it,
Has the same charge.
okay,
You have the correct.
okay,
You don't need anything else, don't mention it.
all right,
Although I just didn't know.
okay. Got it, okay, I've got that there. There, okay. Okay. I mean, these are all my
Ready.
exemptions, right?
Starving.
1,
Oh, jeez.
2,
Pretty early for that.
disabled, seniors, sewer rents. Okay. All right, these should all go pretty quick. Village board, parking areas, okay. All right, got Joe here, good.
You did?
Okay.
Wait, 0 cam. Hey, I need to enlist you to take a picture of Dave.
All right, are we live?
Yes.
Can everybody stand and face the flag for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take your seats. I don't think I have to remind everybody here, because you're all familiar, just keep in mind, we're live. We're live streaming this, so the microphones are live. And obviously at the two back tables, you guys know to hit the little disc there in case you speak, and Doris will take care of swinging the cameras around. I'm gonna make a motion to open up the February 24th Board of Trustees Business Meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, for tonight, the code enforcement officer is not able to be here. He had a prior conflict that he cleared with me. I did meet with him this morning during the department heads meeting, so we discussed all the code enforcement and building department issues and concerns, so hopefully I can handle those when we get to them. The chief has to depart by 8 o'clock, chief?
Right.
All right, so I don't think there'll be any issues with your report from this morning, because I've already looked at that. And trustee Brain is gonna be a little bit late. He's handling another matter and should be in here sometime between 7 and 7:30. So I think I covered all the bases. Okay, so first item of business, and looking around, unless you're a village employee, I guess, there isn't anybody from the public here that might want to give public comment. It is a bit ambitious tonight, but I promise you we're gonna get through it quickly, because all the hard work was done before. Okay, so seeing nobody from the public that wishes to speak, I'm gonna close the public comment. Do we wanna do the monthly department reports, or we wanna go
No,
straight to the
accept them.
public hearings?
The meeting minutes,
Minutes.
minutes, accept.
My apologies. I'm gonna make a motion to accept the January 27th, 2025, February 10th, 2025, and February 24th, 2025 Village Board meeting minutes. Was anybody not available for any of those? I think all the trustees.
February 13th.
It was
Was it?
February 13th.
That was that work session. But that was the work session that we, the
Okay.
special meeting we had.
Special meeting.
February-
Okay, we gotta amend this then. Okay, it's not on here. Okay, so February
I
13th.
know.
Okay, so that was the special meeting, and that only included myself, trustee Brain, and trustee Paleota?
Correct.
Am I right? Okay, got it. Okay, so let's do the first 1, 2, 3. Let's do the January 27th, 2025 business meeting minutes, February 10th, 2025 work session meeting minutes, February 24th business meeting minutes.
Today is the 24th, yeah. It should be,
That's me.
it should be the 10 and that 13.
This should be the 13th.
Correct, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's okay. No worries, no worries, no worries. Okay, so let me do this one more time. So the January 27th, 2025 business meeting minutes, February 10th, 2025 work session meeting minutes, and the February 13th, 2025 work session minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'm in favor of the 27th, January 27th, and February 10th. I abstained from February 13th because I was not there.
Doris, you have that?
Yeah, and Carnwright.
Carnwright abstains from February 13th also.
Wait, we haven't done February 13th yet. We're gonna do that
Oh, I'm
next.
sorry.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Jim, you abstained from
Just,
which ones?
I'm doing the last one, February
okay, then
13th. You said all of them, so
So-
that's what, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. I did.
Yeah, I think you should,
So-
sorry.
So on
Why
the
don't you
Feb-
why don't you just remove the 13th from the motion?
Right.
Because you're not gonna have enough
That's right, you're not
present
gonna have enough
who
to
were
do
there
everything.
at the meeting.
So we'll just do the January 27th, the February 10th,
Yes.
and that's it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, because we have a quorum for that, and everybody was there. I have to go back and do February 13th, Joe, is what you're saying, because only Bill, myself, and Lori Beth were at that special meeting.
Yeah, you might be able to do it later in the meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right, monthly department reports. Let's start with the building department. All right. Manny is not here.
Missed the treasurer.
Yeah.
We skipped over the treasurer's
Sure
report.
did, Jim. I'm sorry.
Treasurer.
Right.
Yep, I'm sorry. And Megan's here, so it'll make it nice and easy. Okay, so you should have a sheet in front of you with the 2025, 2026 budget schedule computation of amounts to be levied on real estate, recommended appropriations. The number is $5,121,409.
That's a that's not the,
That's the federal computation.
that's not the,
Okay, Where is the treasurer's report?
Page 1.
I do not have it.
Do it on mine?
I don't have it. Thank you. Yes.
We can share.
There we go. All right, I don't have it. Okay, the monthly treasurer's report for January 2025, for tonight's business meeting. For the village, a monthly water report, $304,546.31. For the town, $347,798.22, with a total of $652,344.53. And I should have noted that the water superintendent is also out of district this week, so Mike is not going to be here as well. Warrant number 1 is in the amount of $219,032.09. Year-to-date revenue and expenditure reports by fund. The general fund revenue is $4,541,303.07. Expenditures of $5,214,789.75. Water fund revenues of $4,217,428.50. Expenditures of $2,863,258.10, with sewer funds revenues in the amount of $451,670.61, and expenditures $308,165.29, for total receipts of $9,317,604.52, or 106.2286% in anticipated revenues, and $8,461,160.64, or 96.4644% in anticipated expenditures through the month of January. The balance collected for sewer capital, $642,456.66 through the month of January. And notes, NICLAS interest year-to-date as of January 31st of 2025, $3,001.97. Madam Treasurer, anything to add to the report, anything the trustees should know about? Is this the appropriate time to discuss the NICLAS piece, or do we wait until we get to that on the agenda? We're going to talk about NICLAS investments. Wait till we get to other business. Okay. All right. Any questions for the treasurer, who took time out from her schedule to be here tonight?
I do have one question. So the night class, do you know what that equates to, the interest? Like, is it at 4%?
It's 4.52, I believe.
All right, very good.
Good.
So total is about $33,000.
All right,
That we've earned off of that $800,000.
very good.
And we're going to discuss more when we get to that under other business. You'll be prepared to discuss it. Okay. All right. Let me go through here. Next is, that's that. The building department, trustee Carnwright. Obviously, Manny is not here. I think I can speak to anything the trustees have in question, but Dave, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, report for January 2025, Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson Building Department. Building permits issued 10, certificate of compliance occupancy issued 6, on-site inspections 22, violations 2, stop work orders 0, municipal searches 3, solar panels 1, and fire inspections 1. Manny Carmona, Code Enforcement Officer.
Okay. Any questions in regards to any of the issues that we can speak about from the dais? I know that there were a number of issues and concern. I'll speak about them in generalities regarding issues with Deer Hill Road. That has been, it is currently, I shouldn't say that has been adjudicated, it is currently in the process of being adjudicated. We had an issue with an apartment complex in the village where the boiler went out, and we received complaints from one of the residents in regard to no heat. I had a long conversation after the department head meeting with the code enforcement officer this morning, who informed me that our code is sadly lacking, because when it relates to Airbnbs, the village is very strict about on-premise owners or somebody within the village that can respond to issues at Airbnbs if the owner of said facility, house, does not live here. That does not apply to apartment complexes. And the code enforcement officer is going to pull up said code, send it to me for the village board to consider, because, and this is not throwing any shade at the apartment complex in question here that the owner lives in Forest Hill, Queens. Because there's no requirement, if you're an apartment owner in the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, that you have somebody like a super living on premises or somebody that can immediately respond to an issue like an industrial boiler going out, rendering the entire apartment complex bereft of heat during a period of time where we have freezing temperatures. So I would just ask the village board, once we get that code, Manny's gonna make a recommendation. He suggests that we do something similar to they have in many of the municipalities in Rockland to fix that. Did any of you guys know that we did not have that requirement for
No, I
apartment
didn't know that.
complexes? I assume that the owner didn't have to live there, but I assume that there had to, or have a super there.
Somebody within 30
But
minutes, yeah.
yes, I assume that somebody had to be within shouting distance to come fix and repair things, because if you can't get in touch with the owner and there's nobody local, what happens? And that's what happened to us, so. Okay, any other questions about building permits, certificate of compliance, any other issues that we can speak about in open? Jim? No?
Nope, I'm
Okay.
good, I'm good.
All right, moving on is the fire department, trustee Paleota.
January 2025 department report. Apparatus station maintenance, 3. Automatic alarms, 1. 1 car fire, 4 drills, 4 EMS calls, 1 gas leak, 2 meetings, 2 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 structure fire. Total volunteer hours, 175.5. Total events, 19. The structure fire was a mutual aid call to the city of Newburgh. Tower ladder 413 was called to stand by in Newburgh, but was upgraded to the scene shortly after it arrived. The crew did an excellent job extinguishing fire in the roof and cockloft area. The replacement engine 412 is still at the vendor. When it returns, it will have radios and lettering installed before going into service. Firefighter Calamari is participating in arson investigation comprehensive training hosted by the Orange County District Attorney's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. A proposed apparatus replacement capital reserve plan is attached to this report.
You mean the FBI / Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms? I hear the rumors, but nothing confirmed as of yet. Okay, Chief or Mr. Fire Chair, anything to add to this or any color that you can provide to the report? No?
Nothing to add.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave some bills in here.
Yep. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kane for the Police Department.
Okay, the monthly report for January 2025, there were a total of 404 calls for service. To note, there was 1 felony, a burglary, with respect to misdemeanors and violations. There was 1 for criminal mischief and 1 for petty larceny. Arrests, there were none. In regards to vehicle and traffic, they responded to 1 personal injury accident, 7 property damage accidents, 20 traffic summonses were issued, 15 traffic warnings were issued, 1 parking summons issued. There were 10 traffic enforcement posts and 2 speed/radar sign postings. With respect to non-criminal activity, there were 9 fire response calls, 2 domestic incident, 2 alarm response calls, 2 noise complaint, 5 suspicious incident calls, and 1 disorderly person call. And with respect to departmental assists, there were 9 to the assist and 9 to the town of Cornwall PD, 14 to EMS, 4 for citizens, and 1 for other Cornwall-on-Hudson departments. The chief notes that during the month of January, Police Officer Bunt and Police Officer Rodriguez both attended standardized field sobriety testing, training, and certification course, which was held at the Orange County Police Academy in Middletown. During the month of January, Police Officer Bunt attended the Breath Analysis Operator Training Certification course, which was also held at the Orange County Police Academy in Middletown. And that is it. Anything to add, Chief?
Yeah, the only thing is, this last week we took into our possession, the 1 radar speed sign and the one AED unit that we got from the grant, from the Burn Jag grant. So they'll be put in service shortly.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions for the chief from the board? No? All right, before we move on, one thing, chief, for you, fire chief. I'm gonna put on the agenda for the work session in March, which will be my last work session, for the board to discuss, and if possible, and I believe it will be possible, because I'll make it happen, that we make a determination on what we are gonna do with the capital reserve plan. I think the board is obviously, as you could tell from the last work session, in agreement that we're gonna enter into some type of plan. The question is gonna be what we put as our down payment down. I think the $100,000 annual, we all accept and agree. There are some things, some wrinkles that I've gotta talk to you guys about, and also get the tenor and the pulse of the board in regards to what we're gonna do with the firehouse, since there were some recommendations that maybe that be wrapped into this, or maybe we have to change, not change priorities, but maybe we should look at, putting funds there. But I do wanna make sure that on the March business meeting, that we vote to establish that capital reserve fund. Is that fair? Hmm?
Thank you.
Right. All right. So the senator from Wisconsin is gonna yield the rest of his time back. All right. All right, next item of business, we did Police, Department of Public Works, Trustee Paleota.
Department of Public Works, January 2025. Trash collected for the month, 116.25 tons. Recycling collected for the month, 18.25 tons. Yard waste collected for the month, we do not know. Routine maintenance performed on village vehicles. Roadside leaf cleanup continued. Cold patching of potholes. Pre-treating of roadways for snow and ice events. Salting and plowing of roadways. Slip lining of the Stone Arch Bridge, Partridge Road due to failure nearly complete. Stone head wall will be repaired in the spring. Hazardous trees removed from the Hudson, the Nature Museum on the Boulevard. Notes, I am still waiting for quotes for new computer software for the fuel billing system. New superintendent vehicle has been delivered and in service. Cost so far for Partridge Road using the alternate plan has saved considerable amount for funds to date. Expenses of $30,258.20 from the original cost estimate of $800,000 to $1 million. Dave Halverson.
Okay, because I'm gonna have the superintendent go into more detail on that. Dave, just for clarification purposes, we did not collect any yard waste this month, correct? The snow made that a little difficult?
Yeah.
Okay. And then number two, we did take care of all the nuisance trees at the Hudson Island Nature Museum on Boulevard that they had requested we take down?
Yes.
We had our contractor do that?
Yes,
Are they satisfied from your end?
mostly.
They wanted more taken down? Okay, all right, but you made the call on what you and our contractor felt were
Yeah,
the most
they're-
nuisance.
They wanted a couple others that were well out of the way, away from buildings, in the woods.
No, we're not doing that.
All right, gotcha. So Jim, also Robert Lipkin, who's the deputy there at the Hudson Island, it's actually not the HHNM anymore, it's the HHNC.
I messed
Hudson
that up.
Island Nature Center, they get very prickly, it's not the Hudson Island Nature Museum anymore, but he would like to have a meeting with the two of us, going forward, just to maintain the relationship, and we'll do that, I'll set that up. And Dave, could you advise the board in layman's terms what happened up on Partridge and the amount of money that you were able to save from the initial estimate that the board approved to what it's ultimately gonna cost us?
After talking with the engineer, I did some research and decided to go with a different brand of pipe, which saved considerable amount of money. Engineer, we went back and redid all the calculations, everything was good. So we went with that, and so far, we still have a little work to do with repairing the wall on the one side and some blacktop, but we're gonna probably be about 50% of the original cost estimate.
Great.
Excellent, thanks, Dave.
In the spring, we have two projects. We have to do repaving there and then redo that stone arch, that stone wall.
The one side of the wall that came down.
Dave said to me this morning, you still think around $10,000 to complete that, more or less.
Is that something that we do, Dave, or guys?
Yes, so long as we can fit it in, we're gonna do it ourselves.
Okay, got it, all right.
Any other questions for the DPW superintendent? All right, hearing or seeing none, we're gonna move on to the War Department. Trustee Carnwright.
Yes, okay, Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson Water Department, January 2025 monthly report. Monthly production, 24,533,000 gallons. Daily average, 791,000 gallons. We collected 36 samples in accordance with DOH regulations, routine operations and maintenance at the treatment plants, transmission and distribution. 53 utility markouts were completed. Completed 5 water service shutoffs, turn-ons at owner's request. Water main leak repaired, Rose Hill Park Drive, Idlewild Park Drive, Curtis Court. Fire hydrant replaced, Washington Street. Service line leak repaired, 32 Cornwall Avenue. Curb valve boxes repaired, 7 Mailer Avenue, 18 Yeager Drive, 17 Warren Court, and 364 Hudson Street. Water meter pit installed, 86 Maple Road, full patch, all leak sites. Meters, read all commercial and residential water meters. 8 final water meter readings were completed. 2 residential water meters were replaced. 4 miscellaneous repairs. 13 water lines inspections were completed. Property maintenance, snow removal, and ice control. New standby generators, transfer switches installed at the Maple Road Pump Station. 3 electric heaters at Black Rock Water Treatment Plant in need of replacement. Will be investigating feasibility of installing more efficient heat pumps. Notes. Proactive leak detection is ongoing. Assisted Cornwall Central School District maintenance team with replacement of interior valve at the high school. Respectfully, Michael P. Trainer, Water Superintendent, who's out of town.
Any questions for me regarding the Water Department and the Water Superintendent's report? All right, hearing none, moving on to our last department report, which is the New Windsor and Cornwall EMS.
All right, the report for January 2025 with respect to operational, there were 460 calls for service, 100% coverage in the district. 311 patients were transported. The response times were as follows: 6 minutes, 45 seconds New Windsor, 5 minutes, 37 seconds in Cornwall, and 6 minutes, 36 seconds in Cornwall-on-Hudson. As for calls per municipality, there were 311 in New Windsor, 81 in Cornwall, 19 in Cornwall-on-Hudson, 8 in Highland Falls, 1 in the town of Newburgh, 11 in the city of Newburgh, 3 to Montgomery, 1 to Blooming Grove, 2 to Woodbury, 5 to West Point events, and 2 transports, non-emergency transports, and 14 other mutual aid. As for vehicle and equipment, there were no vehicle accidents, no new equipment placed into service, and no equipment taken out of service. As for staffing, 2 new part-time paramedics were hired. Nicholas Seymour passed the New York State paramedic course. Nick went from volunteer aider to EMT to a paid EMT to now a New York State paramedic. The chief notes he's a homegrown EMS professional. As for some notes, the Cornwall station will continue to operate at least 88%. Changes are being made with the updated schedule to be more efficient. Mental health partnership with independent living is progressing and should start very soon. The ECOS grant, we are told weekly that they will be told weekly information will be provided any day. We have not been able to submit for any purchases regarding the grant. A partnership with DCC. What does DCC stand for?
Community College?
A partnership with
Has to be.
DCC is being formulated, and we will be able to start teaching more classes very soon at both stations. We will be a satellite facility for
That's good.
DCC. That kind of makes sense.
Has to be.
2024 audit agreement signed with the accountant and is in progress. The same operational officers of the board are for 2025. All staff have taken their mandatory yearly classes such as sexual harassment. Discussions with Supervisor Bedetti on building repairs for 2025 at New Windsor EMS. New Cornwall agreement is being reviewed by our board, which results in funding increases for 2025 for us to staff ALS in Cornwall. The current agreement ends in June 2025. Meeting with St. Luke's Cornwall Hospital on creating a partnership with community outreach and training. The FTO promotions are forthcoming after intensive staff interviews. The updated 2025 schedule of fees are in effect and submitted to billing. The agency bylaws are being updated and reviewed as well as the SOPs. And the staff appreciation dinner was held on January 18th with a large turnout. And that's it.
All right, I got a question. Maybe the fire people can answer this question. When it's calls per municipality, is that out of our house only?
I don't know.
Okay. I assume it is.
It may or may not be.
I don't think it is, only because, Chief, I think they respond from New Windsor here into Cornwall, and we respond from Cornwall into New Windsor.
Oh,
They do.
Okay.
It's uncommon.
I thought they'd have
for
way
New
more
Windsor
calls
to
than
come
that.
here. They do.
okay.
Yep.
Packet in the report.
Megan, did you get him his packet?
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Okay, all right.
You're
Hearing no
overdressed,
other
Bill.
questions regarding EMS, we'll move on to the public hearings. All right, the first public hearing is related to a proposed local law number 3 of 2025 of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which amends Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation, which adds a new Article 5 entitled, quote, Alternative Veterans Exemption. Now, I read through this at the last business meeting, and then we had a special meeting to go through this, but the purpose of this is for us to consider any issues, concerns, or input from the public. So I'm going to make a motion to open said public hearing for proposed local law number 3 of 2025. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Does anybody from the public wish to speak out for or against this exemption, which basically takes care of our local veterans? Seeing no one that wishes to speak, I'll turn it to the board. Does anybody have any issues or concerns in regards to our proposed exemption for veterans? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing for proposed local law number 3 of 2025, which adds a new Article 5 entitled Alternative Veterans Exemption for the Village Code, Chapter 145, underneath taxation. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. So the next item is going to be a public hearing on the proposed local law number 4 of 2025 of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which sets to amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation, which seeks to modify Article 3 entitled, quote, Exemption for Volunteer Emergency Services Personnel, close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Anybody from the public wish to speak for or against proposed local law number 4, which is an exemption for volunteer emergency medical services personnel underneath our taxation code? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close said public hearing. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Counselor?
And Mayor, just for the record, we had circulated this to the Assistant Chief, and he provided comments concerning, essentially, it extends this potential exemption to other departments, which include Cornwall Fire Department, Valesgate, New Windsor, Highland Falls, and Fort Montgomery.
Those engaged in mutual aid, correct?
Correct. And those were,
Those are the departments of Battalion 4. They are the folks who most frequently provide mutual aid to Cornwall-on-Hudson. The only group not in there from Battalion 4 is West Point, but they're not volunteers and wouldn't be eligible. And as a practical matter, I think there's only 1 or 2 people living in the village who are members of departments outside of the village.
Makes sense.
So no suggested changes as far as you know?
Not as far as I know.
Okay. Where was I? On closing the
I
public
think,
hearing?
I think you closed it. You
Closed it?
Yep.
And that's that. So we're moving on to, yes. All right, the next public hearing is going to be a proposed local law for number 5 of 2025 for the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which amends Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation and adds a new Article 4 entitled, quote, Exemptions for Disabled Persons, close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, looking out into our well outside here, anybody from the public wish to speak for or against said proposed law? Seeing no one, I am going to make a motion to close said public hearing, which will amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation, adding a new Article 4 entitled, quote, Exemptions for Disabled Persons, close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving along. The fourth of these four is a notice of public hearing on proposed local law number 6 of 2025 of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which seeks to amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled, quote, Taxation, close quote, modifying Article 1 entitled, quote, Senior Citizens Tax Exemption, close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody from the public wish to speak out for or against said proposed local law number 6 of 2025? Seeing no one, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing related to proposed local law number 6 of 2025, which seeks to amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation, modifying the Article 1 entitled, quote, Senior Citizens Tax Exemption, close quote. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And Trustee Brain, since you are here, we're now going to go back up to the top because we didn't have a quorum to do this, but I'd like to accept the meeting minutes from the February 13th, 2025 special meeting, of which the mayor was in attendance, Trustee Bill Brain was in attendance, and Trustee Lori Beth Paleota was in attendance. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion from you two?
Not having reviewed those minutes in detail, I look to the two of you to ask your considered opinion as to whether or not they're accurate, and if
There's a lot of trust that you were placing in the two of us, but yes.
Trustees, it's in their name.
That's all right.
All right, well, very good.
All right. No other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have 3 ayes for that. Okay, so we took care of the meeting minutes then. Bill, we didn't need your votes on January 27th, February 10th. We were good on those. We just needed the special meeting ones. Okay, moving on. The next one, yep, let me get to that one, is a public hearing on the proposed local law number 7. We are crushing through these local laws. Number 7 of 2025 of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which seeks to amend Chapter 126 of the Village Code entitled, quote, Sewers, close quote, which seeks to modify Section 126-54 concerning payment procedures. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. David, real quick, can you give us a quick rundown so I don't have to read the full page here on why we're seeking to change the dates on the payments?
It's just gonna make it easier for the village if a business or a large property owner doesn't pay their annual fee. The way they're lined up now doesn't line up with our
Ability to re-levy.
ability to re-levy, exactly. So this is just going to, it's not gonna add a different tax or anything like that. It's just moving when it's going to be due. Instead of being due late in the year, it's gonna be due earlier in the year.
Understood. All right. We opened the public hearing, or no? I don't believe we did, right? May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Would anyone from the public wish to speak out for or against local law number 7 of 2025 for the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which amends Chapter 126 of the Village Code entitled Sewers and seeks to modify Section 126-54 concerning payment procedures for multifamily homes and commercial properties to align up the payment schedule in such a way that allows the village to expeditiously and efficiently re-levy if necessary? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, anyone from the public wish to speak out for or against proposed local law number 7? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing for proposed local law number 7 related to sewers. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's that, and now we're moving on to Churchill Street. Is that the one? Yes. All right. Again, law that I came in on and the law that I'll be going out on. A public hearing now will be proposed for local law number 8 of 2025 for the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which seeks to amend Chapter 155-48 entitled, quote, Schedule 13, no parking at any time, close quote, in order to modify no parking regulations on the west side of Churchill Street. We have discussed this one at length. The deputy mayor has been on site. I believe trustee Brain has been on site. I have been on site. The DPW superintendent has been on site. Everybody's taking a look at this. Oh, trustee Paleota's been out there as well. So trustee Cartwright's the only one, and you've got family that lives there, so
Live
you've
on
been
that
there.
road. Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
All right, so
I haven't been out there many times.
I'm gonna make a motion
Parked there
to
many times.
open that public hearing. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody from the public wish to speak out against proposed local law number 8? All right. Seeing no one, I am going to make a motion to close the public hearing related to local law number 8. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. That now brings us to the resolutions. All right, so we're gonna do them in the same order. So I can get rid of this. And we're gonna do, the first one is local law, which amends Chapter 145.
That's the law, not the resolution.
Okay, where's the resolution? Am I reading it from here?
You can read it from there, or I have a clean copy.
Okay. So it's not, this isn't the resolution? No.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you the clean copy. That's
Okay.
that's a clean copy.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion for the village board to adopt this resolution that supports a local law to amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation and adds a new Article 5 entitled Alternative Veterans Exemption. Joe, I've read this so many times. Can I just introduce this as per document?
Sure.
Anybody have a problem with me doing that regarding the exemptions for our veterans, our first responders, and I'll do each one of them in turn, our senior citizens and our disabled personnel? Nobody has a problem with that? Then
And-
I'm
and
going
just for
to
the- just
make
for
a
the-
motion.
Yeah, just for the record, they're all local laws. They're all unlisted actions under seeker. You are the lead agency for all of them. You've reviewed the EAF. You're issuing a negative declaration and adopting the law.
And obviously, we're doing this.
I've done it a couple times too.
In regard to the fact that the town has done the same. And I have had our clerk's office in contact with the tax assessor's office, in contact with the clerk's office in the town, making sure whether or not we needed to do this. We erred on the side of getting this done before March 1st, so our village residents, which are part of the town, but still village residents, will be able to receive these exemptions for the upcoming tax season. Did I do that right? Okay, so I'm gonna request that the local law to amend Chapter 145 of the Village Code entitled Taxation that adds a new Article 5 entitled Alternative Veterans Exemption be adopted as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one.
Emergency services.
Okay. Well, I had that one. Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that the village board consider this resolution for the adoption of a local law to amend chapter 145 of the village code entitled Taxation, which seeks to modify Article 3 entitled, quote, exemption for voluntary emergency services personnel, close quote, as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next one is going to be, I'll make a motion for the village board to consider a resolution that seeks to adopt a local law to amend chapter 145 entitled Taxation to add a new Article 4 entitled, quote, exemptions for disabled persons, close quote, as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, the last one should be the seniors, and it is. I'm gonna make a motion for the village board to consider the adoption of a resolution for the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson to adopt a local law to amend Chapter 145 entitled Taxation to modify Article 1 entitled, quote, Senior Citizens Tax Exemption, close quote, as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All
I just
right.
want to point out in regards to these 4 laws that we just adopted, you continue to hear of the term exemption. The individual is not getting exempted, the real property is not being exempted from the taxes. They're being exempted from certain percentages of the assessed value of the homes, just for clarification.
Right. Prorated
So people
on
who
your
are in the
income
audience.
also.
Yeah, that
Pardon
is
me?
true.
Prorated on income.
Correct.
And
It's
with
based on
respect,
income, yes.
well, that's with respect to the senior citizen
senior
discount.
discount.
And the
The one
disabled
I'm
person.
interested in.
And the disabled, correct.
And the levels of these exemptions or partial, or, exemptions is set by state law, right? We're going to the level that we're allowed to under
Right.
state law.
The
right?
highest level that we're allowed to under state law. And we're following the town's lead on this.
And we are coincident with the town as far as the exemption.
Coincident with the town.
Did I say that right?
No,
Coincidental.
Concomitant and.
concomitant, I believe, is the word we're looking for.
Potentially.
Concomitant.
What'd you say?
It's
He
the
said
same.
coincident.
It's the same.
Coincident,
Okay.
congruent.
Congruent. Okay, next item is a resolution, I'm gonna make a motion for the village board to consider a resolution to adopt a local law to amend chapter 126 entitled, quote, sewer rents, close quote, to modify section 126-54 concerning payment procedures. Again, as you recall, this is related to conducting our billing in concert with what's in the village's best interest for the ability to re-levy in a timely fashion. So I'm gonna make that motion and suggest that we accept it as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item, the,
Order.
what's that?
I have out of order, right down, Churchill.
Which one are we up to now?
Churchill, oh, and
Yeah,
that's,
I put it out of order.
okay. All right, the next item is going to be a resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson, which seeks to adopt a local law to amend Chapter 155-48 to modify no parking areas on the west side of Churchill Street. This is obviously related to the amount of visits and conversations with local residents who had suggested that the village come up with a reasonable accommodation. We believe that this meets that definition of a reasonable accommodation. We've done the best that we could to make sure that everyone is happy. You're not going to make everyone happy, but we did our best here. So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt this amendment to Chapter 155-48 in order to modify no parking areas on the west side of Churchill Street as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next item is going to be a resolution related to a revision of the parking charges for Donahue Memorial Park. And I'm going to read this one because I am supremely proud of the young high school student that came in and made the argument and advocated on behalf of the student population in the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson and in the town that use the park. Essentially, what this is gonna do is, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what we're seeking to allow is one student free parking permit for Donahue Memorial Park. And again, our schedule runs from January 1st of the year until December 31st. That's the calendar year that we use. One free parking permit per family with a student, and the student meets the definition of being a student by being a high school student, obviously of driving age, or an undergraduate for the local area. Did I get that right? Bill, Jim?
Yes.
Think you guys?
Did we say undergraduates? But okay.
Did
I
not.
think we didn't say,
No.
are we
No, we
only
just-
sticking with?
We discussed this. You wanted.
Oh, I thought I should have it as a doctoral candidate, and
Because you wanted to go back to West Point, and Bill and I said, no, we wanted to leave it for
Trust me,
high school.
they do not want me back at West Point. They want me to stay
And
here.
they need to come to Village Hall.
With a
and-
student, with an
their
appropriate
student
student ID and one per family. But I thought when I asked Charlie about this, that we all agreed that we thought undergraduates, and we didn't agree to that?
We said high school
I thought
students.
we-
Charlie suggested that that would be appropriate.
And I thought it was a hell of an idea, that we had a college kid that goes away,
Too
comes
hard.
back home, and then decides they want to use a park. We're not gonna give that family a,
I wish we had the data on what a
No,
hit this
because
might be. My suspicion is it would be a very modest hit if we extended it to undergraduates.
But we need ID.
No.
We have
Well,
to-
right,
Look
if,
at this
right.
student ID.
We do need a student ID, but only when they pick up
Forever
the
and
pass.
ever.
yes. You don't, yeah, we don't want to get the police chief or the police department in the business
Right.
of going down there and saying, or the student having to put an ID on the dashboard. The bottom line is one per family. I thought that the village board was behind undergraduates and high school students that are able to drive, of eligible driving age.
We just said high school students.
So what's your feeling? You want to stay there? Just high school? I don't have
This
any
might be the
college
lowest stakes discussion. One thing that I want to make clear to the public, if anybody's watching, is that the dollar amount we're talking about per household, per student, is $5 for the year if they're a
almost
village
free.
resident.
Right.
Is it $15 if there are?
students for the town.
That is an annual fee. That is, and this proposed law doesn't relate to the daily fee, which if you go down without a pass and you want to make sure you don't get a ticket, it still costs $20 to show up.
Yep.
But to what Lori Beth said, if you want to get the pass at the free rate, you go to Village Hall, you show your ID, you get your pass. So to me, extending it to undergrads is okay, just because I don't believe that there's a financial hit to the village. But I would also suggest that at that point, it's when that's the point where people could, though, just be like, yeah, I'll pay the $5 or $15 as an undergrad.
All right, so
But
Lori
with my
Beth is the
summer
only
job
no on
and my-
this, because she has no students in college yet. All right.
You'll be thanking
So I've
Mr.
got to amend this. I've got to amend this. Is the village board in concert that we are allowing this for driving age high school students as well as undergraduates?
Oh, I would apologize that it does say Cornwall High School, but to my way of thinking, we were.
We were
just to
gonna cha-
complicate it.
local-
Any student who
local-
lives in the local, so they might be going to a private school, they might be even potentially homeschooled, as long as they can show some kind of evidence that it's an accredited program or something like that. It's a student of driving age at the high school level. That was my
college,
understanding.
or the
And I guess we're
undergraduate
talking
level.
about at college
So
level. as well.
so it's not Cornwall High School, it's high school.
No, but only within the town and village of Cornwall and Cornwall-on-Hudson.
It's resident.
Coincident with the
Or
village
within-
and the
with
town.
I'm sorry, they have to live within the
No,
district.
coincident.
They have to live within the district, but they don't have to go to that high school. But they have to be a
So
student.
let me make sure I get this right when we do this. Okay, so I'm gonna read this one. So I'm gonna make the following motion and ask the board to adopt it. Whereas the village requires a permit for parking at Donahue Memorial Park, and whereas the village clerk maintains an application for obtaining said parking permit, and whereas the application sets forth various fees charged in connection with the issuance of a parking permit, and whereas the village board wishes to make parking permits free for students enrolled at Cornwall High School or reside in our school district, which also includes the town of Woodbury and the town of New Windsor,
Portions thereof.
portions thereof, as well as students who attend college at the undergraduate level, yet their home of record, their residence, is within the town of Cornwall or the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Now therefore it is hereby resolved, the village board hereby authorizes and directs the clerk or her designee to amend the fee schedule set forth in the Donahue Memorial Park parking permit application to reflect that students enrolled at local high school or local undergraduates may obtain a parking permit free of charge, one per family. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Charlie. Well done, sir. Okay, next item. Resolution of the Village Board of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson seeks to adopt a local law to amend chapter, nope, already did that one. I'm sorry. Moving on to, so we did that.
We haven't done the special event. the
Garden Club, special event, okay. So the village received a special event application for an event at the Donahue Memorial Park Pavilion on September 10th of 2025. Obviously, the village clerk's office maintains a calendar of village properties and facilities of which we have a procedure for leasing of same. The application is approved contingent upon the appropriate village regulations followed. The village board would waive this is my recommendation, the village board would waive the rental fee for the event since it is a Cornwall Garden Club special event. That is one of our committees / clubs for the event. Setup and takedown will be accomplished before and after the event by the volunteers. Doris, anything to add regarding their request and application?
They did the same they did it last year as well.
Okay.
It's at the pavilion.
Any board member have a problem with that date, the Cornwall Garden Club having an event there and the village waiving the rental fee?
Meeting an ice cream social.
Right.
Spiked ice cream, we know.
All right, may I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Orange County Water Authority Special Event, another resolution I'm going to move for approval on. The village clerk received a special event application for an event at the Donahue Memorial Park Pavilion on May 15th and May 30th of 2025 with a rain date of May 31st, 2025. The application is approved contingent on the appropriate village regulations being followed. The village board would also seek to waive the rental fee for this event, and setup and takedown will be accomplished before and after the event by said volunteers. Doris, anything to add in regards to the application?
It's elementary school, Cornwall Elementary School students learning about the river.
Oh, okay.
And I've attended it the last couple of years. They spend most of their time down at the little beachhead that we have down there. And they talk about maintaining the river and ecosystems and the climate and waterways and tributaries and how they contribute to human and other mammal, life, if you will. And it's a wonderful event.
Used to be at Kawawasi, but the bridge was closed, so now they're using those.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that we provide the pavilion to them free of charge, understanding that they will follow all the regulations and cleanup requirements. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Just the rain date is the 31st, which is a Saturday.
Yeah, that's the rain date.
That's probably a typo.
Yeah, that's why.
That's a school, yeah, it's probably a typo.
Does it say that on the application?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure does. Okay. So maybe you could follow up to ours.
Yeah.
Maybe they want the rain date that day. I mean, maybe they
No,
want to have it.
because it's
Memorial Day?
under the auspices of school transportation,
Probably be June
so they
2nd.
It's
wouldn't
two
be
school
working on
buses,
Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. Doris, you'll follow up and find out?
I'm guessing June 2nd, yeah, but I'll
Who's
have to
the
ask. her.
contact teacher, do you know?
I don't have the teacher, I just have the water authority.
Enica
Okay.
Cruz.
All right, so we'll approve those dates, but we will double check and confirm that May 31st is the accepted rain date. It obviously appears that it probably won't be. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Fogarty special event. The village board received a special event application for the 80th birthday party for Kathy and Bill Fogarty on June 8th, 2025. The village board is seeking to waive the prohibition of alcohol on village property for this event, providing all New York State laws are adhered to. The event will have a food truck. Actually, I understand 2 food trucks. And the approval of this, as I spoke to our, on top of it, code enforcement officer this morning, those food trucks have to be inspected by our code enforcement officer before they can be on village property. So that will be the contingent upon the proper permits
You should
being
ask
acquired.
Manny if that would be waived, Dave, in lieu of an Orange County certificate.
Nope.
That they use on the road.
He has said no.
Oh, really?
Dave, he said this morning that he and his colleagues within the business are trying to get the state to allow county approvals.
Right.
Otherwise, a food truck could work in city of Newburgh on Friday and not be allowed on village property on Saturday, even though they got approved in the city of Newburgh. So they're trying to do county approvals. But the answer, Bill's right, is no.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
I believe it.
All right. So the application is approved contingent on the appropriate insurance fees and village regulation being followed. Setup and takedown will be accomplished before and after the event by the folks involved in this. I think it's worth noting also that Mr. Fogarty is a former village trustee. I believe he spent 20 years on this village board as a trustee, so. Yeah. So, why are you smiling?
I'm
Is it the
smiling
Irish
with
thing?
you.
Is it
Smiling
the
with
Irish
you.
thing? All right. I would argue that we could waive the fees for his 80th birthday.
And the fact is, he's only 70, but he turned 80 because he was 20 years on the board.
It is, it's like dog years. All right, so, if everybody's, what's that?
Looks like you paid the application fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
You're gonna return that to him?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he did that to hold it, but yes, I would
It's the
imagine.
$5 parking fee that he's gonna have to pay.
Well, he may have a student at the house, you never know. He could be like me, still working on his doctorate.
No,
Teacher.
Bill's a veteran, so he's,
Oh, there you go. So he's automatically waived.
a
All
lot
right.
of stuff.
So may I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next item is, all right, this is the one we already did, right? Okay. All right, you're gonna,
Total taxes.
okay, levying the total taxes. This is the one I read out of order, right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion, and ask the village board adopt this. This is the roll prepared and verified by the assessor for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So therefore be it resolved that there be levied, and assessed against the real property of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson the following sums for village government and other charges for the fiscal year 2025-2026 with a tax rate of $7.80 per thousand of assessed valuation. General fund, $2,876,073.00. Omitted taxes are $3,389.80. Delinquent water rents and charges, $73,714.26. Delinquent sewer rents and charges, $41,231.98. Delinquent sewer capital fees and charges are $3,082.84. Delinquent garbage charges, $25,198.66. With a total re-levy in the amount of $143,227.74. Total real property taxes and other charges on the roll, $3,022,690.54. May I have a second?
Second.
Before I offer up further discussion, Megan, would you like to explain the bottom portion of this and what that means in regards to what we did?
So, in regards to like the water rents, you want me to go through all of that?
No, the bottom portion, what the proposed tax rate was and what we did.
Okay, yeah, so, basically, there were, a couple, issues. We received a fourth SCAR reduction. There was a miscalculation on the town's tax assessment roll, $26,000. So we had to take that into consideration. The omitted taxes for a little over $3,000, and the fireman's reduction. So with taking all of that into consideration, that brought us to the computation that you have in front of you with the new tax rate and the new increase on the bills based off of a $200,000 home. It did decrease from $20.84, I believe, per $200,000 to $20.36.
So we saved
So,
you saved a few pennies.
yes, a few.
It's very important. Okay, also important to note, only because I spoke to the assessor in the town, Kitty Fiorello's office, and Maria Pastina, who handles a lot of this. This is good information for the board and for everybody else and all the people from the public that are here witnessing this tonight. Star basic exemption. People were in a panic because they heard that you had to reapply, and if you hadn't reapplied, you would be knocked off the rolls. That is incorrect. You only need to reapply if you had such a significant increase in total household income that it puts you, and I don't know what those numbers are, but the state would knock you off and make you reapply for it. It's something that you need to check on. The only other reason why you need to go check on that, if that's not the case, you didn't have a significant change in income for your household, the only other reason is if you would prefer to receive a check back from the state as opposed to having it taken off of your taxes. I always opt to have it taken off of my taxes. They tell me that is a few dollar difference between getting a check. You get a couple of dollars more. I don't know what that means, but not a lot if you opt to take the check versus having it rolled over onto your taxes and the relief being done there. Does that make sense? So the only two reasons why you need to go check at the assessor's office and make sure that you are still eligible for the basic star exemption. Huge change. I don't know what that huge means, but I just heard large change to your total combined incomes or your income at your house, your residence. Or number two, you're electing to take the check as opposed to having it taken off of your taxes. Otherwise, you should have the basic star exemption. All right? Okay, any other questions for Megan before I open it up? Actually, right now we'll do it. Any further discussion regarding the approval of the roll prepared and verified by the assessor for the 2025-2026 fiscal year from any of the board members? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. That's that, the election notice, correct? All right, next annual election of the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson will be held in the boardroom where we're sitting right now at Village Hall, 325 Hudson Street, Cornwall-on-Hudson, New York, on the 18th day, which is a Tuesday, if my memory serves me right, of March 2025, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be conducted via voting machine. The candidates' offices and terms for which are as follows, and I hate to bore you guys because this ain't going to be an exciting one. Everything is unopposed. James P. Kane, residing at 297 Hudson Street, will be running for the position of mayor, which is a 2-year term. David Carnwright, located at 79 Weeks Avenue, will be running for trustee for another 2-year term. And William Brain of 41 Clark Avenue will also be running for trustee, which is a 2-year term. Also on the ballot, and important to note, Proposition number 1, which the village board agreed to make a mandatory referendum, not a permissive referendum, but a mandatory one for the village residents and voters to weigh in on, which is extension of village trustee terms. Quote, shall local law number 2 of 2025 entitled Extending the Term Lengths of Village Trustees and amending Chapter 15 of the Village Code, adding Article 3 governing the terms of office for elected village officers be approved, that seeks to extend the term of office for village trustees from 2 years to 4 years. Close quote. This will not impact anyone on the ballot. The 3 candidates that I just mentioned are running for 2-year terms, would have to run another time to be eligible if the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson decides that there'll be an extension of terms from 2 years to 4 years for trustees only. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Yeah, was this referendum mandatory, Joe?
Mandatory
Yes.
because the village board asked for it.
We made it mandatory.
Yeah,
But
we
it
made
didn't have to be.
No.
It could have been done with a
Correct.
vote of the board.
No.
could have been
It could have been done
subject
via
to a
permissive referendum where if a citizen went out and got a certain amount of signatures,
right.
they could have required it or forced it via permissive
Right,
referendum.
right.
The board just said, in lieu of that, let's just put it on the
Right,
ballot.
but boards have done it from the dais.
Have they changed the
Yes.
terms?
No,
If someone
Well,
didn't
they-
file the
didn't-
appropriate.
There's a
pa-
deadline prior to the election by which they would have had to submit for a
correct.
No,
permissive
but what
referendum.
Dave is suggesting is that village boards have voted via resolution.
Right, but it's gotta be one or the other.
I think
either
it has to be-
permissive
It has to
or-
be a referendum.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
no, it has, this action has to be a referendum. The question is whether it's mandatory or permissive. So if you're
Right.
changing terms of office, the board adopts the resolution. If it adopts the resolution and doesn't make it a mandatory vote, it would get approved subject to someone filing a petition
Correct.
to get it placed on the ballot. What your board did is you said, this is really affecting people's terms, let them come out and vote. So at the time you adopted the resolution, you made it a mandatory referendum.
Wait a minute, okay. Simple yes or no. Can the village board vote and have the terms changed? The answer is no. That's what Dave's asking.
Well, if the time elapses between the
Yeah, the
the
vote-
deadline for a permissive referendum,
Right.
if that time expires before the election, then the law would take effect, right?
Yeah, we're kind of parsing out what
Yeah,
Dave's saying.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
In effect, yes.
You
What he
can't just
said is
do it
right.
and stamp it that night.
right,
Because it's been
correct.
done.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean,
Board could vote to
my
extend the
attention.
term.
No, but you're missing the point, though. You can. If it was a permissive referendum and the individuals did not file the appropriate documents, the signatures, to get it on the ballot, then by default, we vote.
to approve it.
Okay.
Well, you voted already.
You voted,
Like, we voted to pass it, but it's subject to a referendum.
Right.
whether you say so or not,
Why is this so hard?
I don't know.
Dave is sticking on something here.
Dave's trying to extend the meeting.
But also,
You
there's
can't just pass it and
Dave
say
being
it's now
Dave.
done.
But
You
there's
can't do it
also,
by fiat.
but there's
You can't.
also, by executive fiat, there's also no way that a sitting elective body can vote to extend their terms while in office, correct? There has to be another election, correct?
But that's what Dave wants to do.
Dave doesn't want to.
Dave goes, can I shorten the term?
No.
All right, I don't want to confuse it. So for everybody listening, the two people online that are listening, you can vote whether or not you agree that trustee terms should be 4 or 2 years, and the village will adopt whatever the public asks us to adopt.
And that's on the back of the ballot, I think, right?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it's a turn over the
Turn
ballot
over your
type thing.
ballots.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that people here working that day, Bill, that's a good point. Make sure that they tell folks that. Okay,
Right now, yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
Was that
got
a
it.
vote? Was it
Yes,
just
that was the
announced?
vote, yes. Okay, okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff. Okay, next item is an equipment purchase of a bucket for the DPW's case loader. Dave, rather than me reading this, do you want to just explain where we are on this and why we need to do this?
Yes, when we purchased the new loader a year ago, I didn't include in the original purchase a second bucket, which we've had for our old machine, which it's called a clamshell bucket. It actually opens up, you can pick things up, grab. It's a very versatile piece of equipment. It's $24,000 and change. When we were surplusing the old equipment, I had asked the board at the time if we could use those funds to purchase attachments for our new machine, and we agreed at that point that sounded like a good idea. So what I'm asking for now is we've sold that unit. It's gone, the village, I believe the village has received payment already. But we've got near $30,000 for that piece of equipment.
Yes, that via the auction, which
Yes,
was.
through the
yeah,
auction, yes. So I'd like to purchase that, and it's through the Sourcewell contract, which I included the number on the quote.
So
I
the
don't
number
have
on
it
the
sitting
quote
in
is
front
for
of me 'cause I-
$24,918. we're using Sourcewell, which means we don't have to take this out to bid. These are all approved.
State vendor.
bid. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Dave had spoken to me about it. I know he talked to the board about this a while back, but it's basically an exchange for money we're getting back to make this upgrade. So, did I have that right?
Yes, it's very useful in storms
The quick
especially.
change bucket?
Excuse me?
Is it a quick change bucket?
Yes.
And this is the one that you told me will pick up a sequoia tree and move it down Hudson Street if we needed it to.
Yeah, that's the nice thing, you can actually pick, grab and move things and especially during
Nobody
bad
got,
weather.
nobody got my sequoia joke, chief. I thought somebody would have appreciated that, yeah.
No.
All right. Okay. All right, I got you. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that the village board approves and allows the mayor to sign the appropriate documents related to, or the DPW superintendent related to the purchase of a bucket for the case loader in the amount of $24,918 on the New York State government Sourcewell contract in compliance with New York State bidding requirements. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions for the superintendent? All in favor? Aye. All right, next item, garbage truck rust repair. Dave, have at it again.
Yeah, this is our 2014 International Garbage Truck. About a year and a half ago, we had a motor issue with that vehicle, and we ended up investing a considerable amount of money to redo the top half of the motor. The packer on the rear is rusted. It's a 2014, so it's 11 years old. And one of the problems that you can't have garbage leaking out of it, and you can't let liquids get out, and that all has to be kept in. The body needs to be either replaced, repaired, or a new truck. New truck will expensive, and you're at least 2 years out. Replacing the packer unit, we're in a ballpark of probably $120,000. So I took it to the manufacturer that built the truck originally, and I provided you guys with a quote to redo it, which is replacing almost all the pistons, repacking everything, relining the inside of the unit, and taking care of all the rust problems. It comes out to $38,000 and change.
Wow, that's.
Pretty good guarantee on that, Dave, too, or, I mean?
About the same as you get at a car dealership,
Yeah.
once it goes out the door.
All right,
Oh, so not a very.
That's significant saving though.
Yeah, you tell me so.
So let me go ahead and make the motion to authorize the mayor to execute a repair agreement for rust damage to the garbage truck with the VIN number of 1HTWCAZ R0FH643115 in the amount of $38,282.69 via Sanitation Equipment Corporation in Totowa, New Jersey. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion or questions for the superintendent?
Who cleans it before it goes?
It'll be cleaned out. It was cleaned out when we took it down for them to look at it. They're very used to doing this. They're a very busy manufacturer down there.
So it smells real good.
Yeah.
Well, how do you define real good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Water treatment plant appraisal. So this is the Catskill plant. Now, you'll recall back when we were heavy into water issues, one of the things that we were looking to do is seeing to have the reduced property taxes that we pay to the town and the school district on the assessed value of the Catskill treatment plant. The Catskill treatment plant is the one that treats water off of the Catskill aqueduct. When and if, and it hasn't happened since I've been mayor, we need to take water off of that. We did, obviously, before, but in the last 4 years, we have not needed to use that. We've been blessed by the aquifer not to need to do that. Anyway, we're seeking to have this done. It's obviously a specialty appraisal. You can't just call up somebody that appraises houses in your neighborhood and have them do that, so it's a significant cost. So I'm asking the village board, and again, Superintendent Trainer did a lot of research into this because the appraisal will then be countered by an appraisal by the town. So we're looking to get this thing downgraded because it's not online. It requires a lot of upgrades to it to put it back online We're seeking to do that to reduce the exposure of our property taxes and school taxes, long story short. So I'm gonna ask the board to accept the proposal from Beckman Appraisals Incorporated. And again, it was very difficult to find anyone to do this type of appraisal. In order to appraise a Catskill water treatment plant for $10,000 and authorize the mayor to execute said contract. Mike is not here to discuss this further, but he and I have been going back and forth on this quite a bit. So I see this as an investment for the village. Keep in mind, while we are getting the monies back by the increased water rates and our increased water charges or water user rates with the school district and the town, we could also get a little bit more relief on what they are charging us due to an appraisal that puts us where it's really at. So may I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Did this have to go out to bid?
I don't
Oh,
think
it's
so. I
it's
know,
a professional service.
yeah, and I
So it
know,
doesn't,
but I do know that Mike spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
Remember, we wanted to do this a month and a half, 2 months ago. We couldn't find
find anybody.
an outfit to do it.
Crazy.
So, yeah, you can't call Remax up and say, give us an appraisal.
Nah,
They don't handle
wish you
this.
could.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, next item, wow, we're on to other business.
Connector
No,
Trail.
connector trail.
Oh. Declaring intent, yes, okay, I'm sorry, my apologies, that's not on here.
This is very exciting.
Okay, next item, a resolution of the village board. I'm gonna seek approval of for the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson declare intent to act as SECRA for, the SECRA lead agency for the Dock Hill Connector Trail project. So whereas in connection with its approved New York Ford grant, the village board of the village of Cornwall-on-Hudson proposes to construct a 2,500-foot linear foot trail to allow for safe pedestrian connection between Donahue Farm and the village's waterfront property known as Donahue Park. And whereas the connector trail will begin on Bayview Avenue at Donahue Farm and continue down and about its way towards down Bayview Avenue, and whereas the trail will continue approximately 1,300 feet along Dock Hill Road to connect with an existing off-road trail, and then to the, quote, Cornwall Connector Trail, close quote, which proposes to run along Hudson Street through the village's commercial district and then into the town along Main Street in Cornwall, New York. So now therefore it is hereby resolved that the village board hereby declares its intention to act as lead agency for the coordinated review of this unlisted action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, and will circulate a lead agency notice, part 1 of the project's environmental assessment form, or EAF, its grant application, attachments, and related materials to all involved and interested agencies, which shall be given 30 days from the mailing of the lead agency notice attached hereto to challenge the village board's lead agency declaration. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next, the other business. We have a number of items, and I know, Bill, you are still on the Donahue, you're still the board's liaison to the Donahue Committee. I received recently and took a look at it, all the board members should have a copy of the proposed slate of events that the Donahue Committee would like to conduct down at the farm property. We're not gonna vote on it tonight. Bill, I'm gonna have this on the agenda and would prefer to discuss this at the March work session. There were only a couple of questions involving, when we discussed it this morning at the department heads meeting, liability issues and concerns with some of the things going on down there. Obviously, the village board is gonna support the Donahue Committee's recommendations, but could you be prepared to speak to those items that are highlighted on here? Some of these are probably gonna require some scrutiny from our attorney, only because the Donahue Committee, being a legally constituted committee of the village, we would be the insurance policy. God forbid something went wrong while somebody was using a lathing machine and or a chainsaw to do something. So there's some things that we need to talk about liability wise, but can you give a briefing on that at the work session in March?
Yeah, and I'll just say there were like two things that they proposed to have involvement by the public with power tools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a way to get
Yep.
the yes
We'll
on
talk
those.
to it, yeah.
I'm certain, but I want to make that I want to introduce it tonight, but make that a work session item. And Madam Village Clerk, if you can make sure that that is going to be on the work session as a matter of discussion for the board. Bill can brief us then and we can discuss it. and get it on the calendar because we need to approve it at the March business meeting because they've got events that are in April, so it's right around the corner. We need to get this approved. In fact, we could probably approve it at the work session. Bill, if time is of the essence, and you say we want to get the notice out quicker, we can do it at the work session. Okay? All right, next item and last item, night class investments. So, the treasurer's here because if you recall at the not the business meeting, the work session, I had asked when the fire department came to us and asked us about the capital plan and paying for it, and the water department had asked us about potentially moving money into NICLAS, and we were looking at where our investments were. The village put $800,000 into NICLAS. The return on investment, or ROI, has been very good. It has outpaced what the current rates are. You know, we're obviously getting better than what a regular brick and mortar bank would be giving us. The question becomes, do we move more money from the village's Gen A fund into it? We have a available fund balance somewhere north of $2 million right now. We're obviously gonna have to make significant investment in the fire department's capital improvement plan of either $500,000 to $900,000, so that would chew up a big chunk of that. But I think after a year being invested in NICLAS, and the fact that the water department, which has a very healthy and robust fund balance of close to $2.6 million right now, that we should, whatever we decide to put in from the Gen A fund here, and I'm gonna argue that we go over 800,000 because our auditor said, are you crazy? Why isn't all your money in that? So I asked Megan to speak to Justin about that, Justin Wood, who's our auditor, and have him tell us what his thoughts were. I like to be conservative and cautious when it comes to monies, but by the same token, if we're leaving money on the table because we're not invested in something very safe and very, what's the word, fungible, meaning, not fungible, what's the word that you can take money out of it without
Accessible.
accessible, let's use accessible, which says that if, God forbid, something major happens and we need to pull money out of it, we're not gonna get punished for that. So that is a perfect thing for a municipality where our money's working for us, but we have access to it. So I would argue we do more. Megan, any recommendations on how much of our fund balance you feel after talking to Justin we should move into it?
Justin advised that we maintain 3 months worth of bills and invest the rest. But that's up to the board. My recommendation would be to invest $1 million from the water fund into NICLAS, and I think we should invest from sewer as well.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yep.
That's actually not a bad.
A million's about a third of the water
Sewer's
fund, right?
sewer's
Has
fluid
about
though, right? Don't you make payments?
Sewer's got how much,
We have,
1.8.
So is it fluid? You can make payments out of that?
out of NICLAS?
You can pull
It's
money out of
accessible.
NICLAS?
But you withdraw it and then you
Draw it
pay.
and make the payment.
Yeah.
We
So-
can treat it like one
so-
of
so
our accounts.
Do you
in and
pay a
out.
penalty for withdrawing?
No, that's the beauty in it. So now this is just me scratching out numbers today. And again, I'm just gonna throw this out. What about if we did $1 million from the water fund, all right? What about if we did 750,000 from the sewer fund? And what if we increased from 800,000 to 1.5 million, the Gen A fund? I'll just throw that out there, starting numbers.
What was the third one?
1.5 million, so it'd be an additional $700,000. We already have 800,000 in NICLAS from the Gen A fund. We would do an additional 700,000. Again, it's sitting there in a safe, protected place, and we have access to it, God forbid something happens. Still leaves us liquid in our regular account, but we let our money work more for us. And for the auditor to say that, I just felt more comfortable, while I was very cautious before.
2 minus 5.
Bill?
1.25.
I don't wanna interrupt the math.
He's doing
Okay.
math, yeah.
500,000 for them.
The water fund makes sense to me, and sewer, if we can do it, I would favor about a third of each of those, which is what we had done with our Gen A. I'm a little more hesitant to increase the input from the Gen A fund. I have to, well, I'll ask, but I'll ask now, but I'll also look back at my notes. in what sense is it safe or protected? It's an investment in, equities and,
So is it an
certainly not FD.
FSLIC or FDIC protections? That's a question I don't know.
no, it's
Maybe
not
that's-
that.
it's not
In the
that.
bank it is, but in NICLAS, it's not necessarily.
FDIC is only 250,000 anyways.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. it
Even
only
for
goes to a quarter million.
municipality?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's the,
I-
that's the limit of the insurance for a municipality? Well then. Well, then that changes my
SOM,
calculation a little bit.
So we can just settle on this tonight. We good with $1 million from the water fund? If you say yes, then we're going to direct the village treasurer to transfer 1 million of the water fund into NICLAS. Are you
That
good?
was the number that Mike had said.
That's the number
He said
Mike
they
had-
were about 3.2 or something, yeah.
But
Now,
Justin,
now where do we sit on sewer? 1.6?
1.8,
1.8? Bill, would you be comfortable at, you wanna go
100,000
600,000?
works for me.
I could live with that.
Yeah, that's
Good.
fine.
600,000?
Sounds good to me.
600,000 for sewer, and is the board good with bumping up from $800,000 our current investment, an additional 700,000 to put us at 1.5 million from the Gen A fund?
Now, is that? Now, once all these other amounts come out of our general fund, is that gonna?
They're not coming out of our general fund. Gen A fund is separate from water, separate from sewer,
You're
so,
talking about
No,
500 for the capital
yeah.
reserve
Well,
and.
Yeah,
yeah,
If we end up draining the general fund into the night class, is that okay?
that's what our auditor says.
I mean, so how much should we,
touch it. It's not,
so if we had 200,000 in
We're
our
not
general
getting
fund
penali-
account, we're fine,
no, we need to have 3 months worth of bills
right?
in our general fund.
Which is
But
about
how
how
About a-
much?
money is in
about a
night
million.
class?
I mean, water bills are between $200,000 and $300,000 a month. Sewer's a little shy of 100,000. General, I mean, based off of the treasurer's report,
Should be just shy of $1 million, right?
Yeah, it's right around $1 million, right?
yeah, it's I would have to pull numbers to really
Would you be
get
more comfortable
general.
just going $1 million total from the Gen A, so we would bump it up an additional $200,000?
I mean, look, if you're,
I mean, warrant
right now, we're
number
sitting
one
at
is-
2.2, right?
Yep.
So I'm just spitballing this. If you're saying 500,000 that's going into the fire department capital fund, that's getting you down to,
But then we're taking almost $500,000 for the budget.
right,
Is that too?
right. So that's why I'm going through this exercise. So
Yeah.
then it's,
Warrants
There's a million
200,000.
Right off the bat, we've already used 60,000 for the fire truck. So we're
that
gonna be
gets
sitting
it down
at,
to 1.2.
yeah, which is about 24% of our 25-26 budget. State comptroller wants you at least 20%.
So I think the
We're
answer,
starting to tick downwards.
so,
So, I mean, the good thing with NICLAS, you transfer it over, you can transfer it back to pay your bills. I mean,
Right.
you let it sit, you make a little money
It's-
off of it for the month,
It's
you
liquid,
move it back,
right, right. It's liquid.
but
so we're sitting,
I would recommend at least starting with water and sewer. We have money.
yeah.
So lead
I
Gen,
agree.
so lead Gen A at 800, do 600 into sewer, and do $1 million in water.
That's what I would recommend.
I'm good with that.
You good with that, Bill?
Me too, yeah.
Lori Beth?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yep, yep.
Done.
More
You have the
conservative.
numbers, all right?
And bear in mind that 800,000 is now, Almost 9, right?
833,000.
okay. no,
Yeah.
More, but not
Yes.
as much more as I was.
Okay, that is that, and that moves me blessedly. Seeing you thought that the agenda was so ambitious, but we worked through the public hearings quickly. For your information, which tomorrow morning, and I will invite the village board to stop by at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The Chamber of Commerce is holding their first monthly morning meeting where they do bagels and coffee, and they do some type of presentation for their members, but it's gonna be in the village boardroom. So I plan on making an appearance, and you are all welcome to do the same. That'll be tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. The Cornwall-on-Hudson Special Events Committee has a meeting here in the village boardroom on Thursday, February 27th at 7 PM.
It should be 6.
At 6 o'clock? Okay, can we make that change? Doris, can you make that notation?
Yes.
Okay, Lori Beth, it is changed. Cornwall-on-Hudson tax bills will be mailed no later than Friday, February 28th, which is this Friday, so 4 days from today.
Due date starts March 1st.
And the due date starts March 1st. Voter registration day, if you wish to register to vote in the village, keep in mind, you come here to do this, it only allows you to vote in the village election. You still have to register with Orange County to vote in the national and state election. But that registration day is Saturday, March 8th, from 12 to 5 p.m. here in the village boardroom. The next village board work session is Monday, March 10th at 7 p.m. in the village board work session room. That's got to be changed because it says village boardroom. The Cornwall-on-Hudson Fire Commissioners meeting, Mr. Chair, is Tuesday, March 11th at 6 p.m. here in the village boardroom. Correct. Yes, sir. The village zoning board meeting is scheduled, and I understand is going to be held, I guess they have matters before them, on Thursday, March 13th at 7 p.m. in the village boardroom here. Village election day, Tuesday, March 18th from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. here in Village Hall, and the village board, next village board business meeting, which will be my last official function at the dais. Yes, will be Monday, March 20th. Dave goes, good riddance. Monday, I know.
Said I can't believe it.
Seen
I know.
15 mayors come and go.
Yeah, oh, not 15, 13, stop. Village board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 24th at 7 p.m. here in the village boardroom. All right, going around the table, the dais. Trustee Paleota, anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add.
Trustee Brain?
It warms my
cockles of your heart.
obsessive compulsive heart to see this events form so neatly filled out by all the people who are requesting to do events, and I'm very pleased that our spaces are getting this kind of use. It's really wonderful. And the Donahue Committee's roster of events is awesome. It's no one is allowed to be bored in Cornwall-on-Hudson this year. So very, very good. And thanks to Dave for the mineralized water cleanup and activities over the last month. Dave and the crew, of course. I would not-
He's avoiding the S word, I take it. All right, thank you, Bill. Dave?
Where's the snowflakes?
He said it.
He's talking about the electric ones. So Dave did come to me and suggest that, when Josh and I had initially spoken, we put them up. We always want to put them up when the trees get lit, when we have the tree lightings that weekend, which next year will be November 29th of 2000, this year, November 29th of 2025. And we want to leave the snowflakes up until March 1st or so. Dave reached out to me the other day and said, hey, RPC had started taking them down the town. We'd be good taking them down here. So some of them have been taken down. But Dave, I noticed all the ones in the lower village are still up. He took down the ones here on Hudson Street, but the ones going down the lower village are still up.
I didn't get to them yet.
Yeah. So anyway,
Are they
just as
going
long
to
as he knows, we
storage?
still have some down there. They are going into cold storage.
Okay.
And, actually,
Hey.
yeah. And Dave will keep them down at the DPW building, and we will look forward to seeing them again next year, the day of the Shop Small event and the village tree lighting.
Okay, just check.
All right, Jim,
Everything was said, nothing else.
all right. Any alibis from any of the department heads or chiefs? No? Judge?
None for me, thank you.
Nothing for you? Madam Village Clerk? All right, well then I'm gonna make a motion to close the board's business meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Keep in mind, until
No, it's only
Doris clicks off the TV, we're still live.
How'd you do on the interview?
You didn't think it could be done in
This
9
was a
minutes, did you?
brainstorm with
Well, we knew it would.
Harvard Business School
careful, you said
for
too
the
much.
Hudson River Slough
You
Clearwater.
said too much.
I've been working with them for a while, and the Harvard Business School got a bunch of people together to kind of advise for like a 2-hour session. And I really wanted to be on it just because I've been working with them